The first story of the day is about France. I've been covering it for weeks now. There's been something called the Yellow Vest protest, or I believe, I don't even want to say it. I'm going to butcher French, so I'm just going to call it the Yellow Vest protest, but they have another name for it. People have been putting on yellow vests. It's a lot of working class people, lower class, middle class, French people who have been mad for decades, and it's been getting worse and worse and worse. Combination of taxes, politicians not paying attention. They feel like they're being exploited by the elites. According to Guardian, I have Guardian and BBC quotes here. They say, the elite are aloof, arrogant, and out of touch. Sounds familiar. Sounds like New York City and Los Angeles. Aloof, arrogant, and out of touch. I don't care what you believe, high taxes, low taxes, but there is a certain arrogance and out of touchness that's going on here as well. But in France, that led to somewhat of a revolution. So they've been non-violently protesting. Police have been beating them. There's been people looting, rioting. It's hard to tell who's who, because when you have that many people, the whole city shuts down, and you're going to get looters and arsons and stuff. I don't know that it's been the Yellow Vest specifically. I've heard inside sources it's not. But anyway, these protests have been so huge that Macron, the leader who's very unpopular, has no choice but to actually address them. It took him a pretty long time. I mean, Trump is on Twitter like 30 seconds after something happens, screaming in all caps. It's like, how long did it take this dude? His city's been on fire for like 3 weeks now, and he just figured out to answer. So I watched it. It was 14 minutes. I watched the translation because I don't know if you could tell, but I don't understand French. It seemed I'm just going to be honest, it seemed very inauthentic to me. Something that I noticed is he stared at the camera and his eyes never moved. Like, it's very odd. I'm not saying eye contact is bad, but like you look at other people, their eyes move back and forth sometimes. Like maybe they're reading a teleprompter, they're looking away. Like it just looks so robotic and so not authentic. That's what I got from it. But let's get to the facts. That's just my thoughts. He said he's going to raise the minimum wage, increase it 100 euros a month for the poor and middle class people, so mostly lower class if it's minimum wage. So his big solution is raising minimum wage 100 euros a month. He had planned tax on low income pensions. He said that's canceled. Overtime pay is no longer taxed. He's asking employers who could pay end of the year bonuses. So I don't know how much that's doing. It's like, hey, pay bonuses, please. It's like, oh, thanks, Macron. Thanks for the tip, buddy. He refused also to reinstate a tax on the wealthy. And this is a direct quote from BBC. So if this is wrong, it's not my fault. BBC lied to you. He said, this would weaken us and we need to create jobs. So he raises, it's like this dude is so out of touch. I guarantee you that the protests are not going to stop because first of all, it's not just about tax. It's deeper than that. Second of all, raising minimum wage, we talk about this on my channel sometimes, this crushes small businesses. The big businesses in France can afford a minimum wage hike, but who can't think about it? I don't care about politics, left or right. Who do you think can't afford to pay people $100 extra a month if they have 10, 15, 20 employees? Small businesses, mom and pop shops, the people that are out on the streets protesting can't afford a raise in minimum wage. So the fact that he says he can't raise taxes on the wealthy because this would weaken us, we need to create jobs, but then he's raising minimum wage on businesses. I mean, this guy is absolutely delusional. Raising minimum wage while refusing to tax the wealthy is not going to create jobs. I really don't understand where he's coming from, but like I said, this is not going to stop the protests. I could already tell because he's not really addressing the issues. It doesn't seem authentic, and people have a big problem with him. He's disguising himself. Sorry, I'm having trouble breathing. Let me take another sip if you don't mind. I apologize. He, according to a lot of reports, since the beginning of time, including this one, they said he was elected on a centrist reforming program. So here's the problem with Macron and the news and everything. They're lying from the very get-go, so they can't figure out the problem because they're not telling you the truth about the problem. In their head, they're like, he's a centrist, he's reforming France, he's such a revolutionary, it's about the tax. It's not just about the tax. That's just one of the many elements. He's not a centrist. He's not a revolutionary center person. He's a total, absolute, whatever you want to call him, neoliberal establishment bank puppet. He's literally a puppet of the big banks. So it's funny to me reading The Guardian and BBC and all these things who lied to you for 2 years. They told you how great he was. They can't figure out the problem. And same with America. My huge problem with the news is not that some people are liberal and some people are conservative. My problem with the news is that it's 95% liberal media and they're misframing everything. So you're not going to solve conservative problems and Republican problems or liberal problems if you lie about what's going on. It's like if I have sauce on my face and I say that you have sauce on your face and everybody who says I have sauce on my face is a Nazi, I'm not going to ever clean my face because I'm blaming other people and I'm refusing to acknowledge like the root of the problem is I have sauce on my face. It's like, no, you have sauce on your face, and if you say otherwise, you're a Nazi. It's not going to solve it. It's like the news with Macron. It's not just about the taxes. It's one element of it. People can't afford to live because they're paying into a socialist system where 30 to 40% of their taxes go directly to the federal government. The elites apparently aren't paying any taxes or not enough taxes. He doesn't want to raise those taxes. He's raising it on small businesses, making them pay more for minimum wage. And then he's importing and lobbying for all of Europe to import millions of refugees and illegal migrants who suck out of the system and don't pay into the system. And statistically, according to Newsweek and Reuters, these are left-wing news outlets, migrants are responsible. The influx of migrants coming from the Syrian crisis have led to higher violent crime, rape, murder, all sorts of things in Sweden, UK, Germany, and France that no one wants to talk about. They're not only responsible for a huge influx of crime, but they're also sucking out of the, tax thing that lower class and middle class people are paying into. It's a lose, 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 lose. And Macron is lying about all of it. He doesn't get it. So, like I said, he's raising minimum wage, which is not going to hurt the elites. It helps the elites, if anything. Raising minimum wage is going to create an even bigger lower and high class dichotomy that they have now. It's going to hurt small businesses and mom and pop shops, and billionaire companies are going to be able to do that no problem. He's cutting the tax on low income pensioners. He's saying a bunch of stuff. He's saying sorry. It seems ridiculously inauthentic. His eye contact is extremely psychopathic. He's just staring literally with wide eyes for 15 minutes. You're like, does this dude is he a robot, or is he just super, not believing what he says? Anyway, overall, I think the protests aren't going to stop. They're spreading throughout Europe, and these protests are not just about the tax, the carbon tax, where they say the environment's really bad, so we're going to steal your money. It's like, oh, well, is that going to change the climate of the world? The fact that you steal my money? And I made a tweet the other day, and I really believe in this. I don't like high taxes because if I have $10,000 and you have $10,000 extra dollars, if you're not getting screwed via healthcare and taxes, you can actually help your community. You can help a family in need. You decide your future, that manifests destiny. If we give all the money to the federal government and they spend it all on weapons and war and not helping lower class people in any sort of way that actually works, they just make these social safety net programs that people take advantage of. So if you work hard, your money gets stolen, and if you're lazy or you're not a good person, you get to take out of it. I'm not saying all people taking out of it are bad people. A majority of them aren't, but a high percentage of them are. And when you're weak and naive and foolish and you don't have strength and honesty and integrity, and you just bend over backwards, that's what happens. A France, a UK, a Germany, a Sweden, they're not working long term. They have failed policies. They have a total puppet as a president. He made a response. We'll see what happens. I don't think it's authentic. I don't think the French people are going to buy it. And this revolution is worldwide. We're having a Trump revolution here. If Trump didn't win and Hillary Clinton won here, you're talking about the entire left-wing progressive unit who likes Bernie Sanders can't stand Hillary Clinton. All of Trump supporters can't stand her. The working class people of America couldn't stand her. So if Hillary would have won, you might have seen something like that here. Trump is like our revolution who's holding these elites by a thread. They should love him, because without him, it would be really bad here. It's happening in Europe. It's all sorts of undertones. I'm going to talk about it later, but it's not just about the tax. It's not just about the incoming influx of refugees and migrants who are taking out of the social safety nets and totally tanking their socialist, communist-style systems. But it's decades of ridiculousness going on. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any friends in France. Let me know how they feel. But Macron keeps bending to the protests, but he's not solving the root of the problem because he is responsible for it. And I don't think these people are going to buy it.